How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Fruit of Grisaia. Last time you've ever seen me, maybe first time you ever seen me, I don't really care. Welcome to the start of a brand new series. This is one that's been selected specifically by my patrons and YouTube channel members, so thank you so much. Make sure to give a shout out to them if you've been excited to see this on the channel for a while. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm an aficionado, enjoyer of good stories, great characters. That's really all this is about. They always say that it's about the journey, not the destination, but that's what this channel really is. It's about the journey, what I get to share with you. I am playing these games mostly blind. This is one I've never played before, so we're kind of just all in this together. You can get to see what it's like from the beginning, but I do highly encourage you, if you've never played this game before, maybe watch the first couple episodes, but if you like what you see, play it yourself. You can never beat the first time experience with yourself, and then come back and join me and get to see, you know, do I have very interesting insights or perspectives to offer? Always make sure to support the developers and the publishers, true, obviously, but like mostly the developers. We're grateful for all of those who do such hard work to make great games. And also, got to thank those who worked hard to translate these works. Like, all of them deserve a lot of like praise and support because, frankly, we wouldn't have access to so many incredible titles like Muv-Luv and Steins Gate without the hard dedication of people who did, starting first with fan translations, and then finally the companies over in Japan decide to make localized versions in multiple languages. And, you know, it all kind of started from the understanding that there was a market. So I'm always a big fan and supporter of those types of systems and those groups of people. So big shout out to you. Big shout out to those of you who selected this game, and yeah, this is going to be our Friday slot. Now, a question you could also be asking yourself, like, do I intend to play through the rest of the series? Maybe. I'm not the kind of person who likes to leave something undone. If you've ever seen my Muv-Luv series, which has been going for years, that's a good indication, but because this has been a fan selection, you know, that kind of is up in their hands. Now, of course, I'll probably choose it on my own if left to my own devices, but I can't guarantee when. So if you've ever been interested in having direct say in what we cover on the channel, might be worth a look and see if there's something you want to support. Otherwise, thanks for sticking around. That's all that matters. Let's jump into it because I don't want to ramble anymore. I have no idea what we're expecting, really. I just have like a brief synopsis, and I work really hard to avoid spoilers, so let's just see how it goes. Intense sunlight blazes down on the road as if to declare the arrival of summer. One thing I should mention, this is the unofficial official patch version, so there won't be any skimping on anything. I'll be seeing the entire game as it was intended to be released originally. So the Steam version has been updated and stuff. Like, so I will probably personally edit stuff because there's gonna be stuff that YouTube's gonna frown on. But I'm going to be seeing and experiencing the whole game in its entirety, and it should include other things, but there's a caveat. It did mention in the README file that sometimes it can cause issues where choices don't follow through the way they're supposed to, or CI or like cinematics don't play properly. If you notice something like that happening, let me know. I can try and do a backtrack later on and kind of recover like the stuff that might have been skipped over, but it's probably fine. I've heard a lot of people say they didn't have issues, so we should be good. Anyway, so sunlight on the summer. The burning asphalt radiates heat, mixing with the scent of the tide to form a thick, muggy atmosphere. I hate walking on the roads in the summer. When the weather's clear in summer like this, you get guys who lose their heads in the heat. Sexual assaults, robberies, all the way up to homicides. I don't have time to list the variety of crimes committed by morons with baked brains. Granted, I don't think it's always the baked brains that do it. I think people just sometimes need an excuse, and that can be one. As a result, at times like this, the police inevitably get very wary about suspicious types. It was about 10 minutes ago that I realized I'd been mistaken for one of the heat stroke adult sorts.
名前が風見雄二。住所は山梨県大里郡。
Sweat pouring from his forehead as he examines my license, the policeman in front of me takes a glance at the large backpack I'm carrying, then continues the background check.
山梨から来たのか、あんた。
Yes.
この町には何の用事で？大荷物背負って、どこかへ行く途中かい？
I told you this 10 minutes ago. I'm moving. This luggage is everything I own.
それじゃあ、引っ越し先の住所は？
Like I said, I don't have one yet. The answer's not going to change no matter how many times you ask. This is actually a police tactic, though. Like, it might seem ridiculous or frustrating if you're ever being talked to by an officer and they keep asking the same questions over and over, but they're looking for inconsistencies. If someone's lying and the stress of that lie starts to build as they're constantly asked, like, the same question over and over, it can lead to discrepancies, it can lead to excess frustration, and that can be an indication that there's more going on than meets the eye. So if if an officer's working with someone they believe is suspect, but they don't have any like proof, they sometimes will continually ask the same questions over and over, and it might even be like bounced between multiple officers to help make it less like oppressive in a way, but it's still like the tactic's the same.
引っ越し先の住所も決まっていないのに引っ越してきたっていうのかい？君、何を隠しているの？
Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you planning to do there? Depending on the context, these could be fairly philosophical questions, but as far as the police are inquiries, they're pretty run-of-the-mill. From their perspective, anyone wandering around without a clear-cut business is by default a criminal of some sort. Let alone someone like me, carrying around conspicuous, bulky luggage. The good is guaranteed that they'd stop me. It's their job, I suppose, since this little scene acts like a crime deterrent through its visibility. It's not an entirely wasted effort, but unfortunately, I don't have all day to play along. I drop a glance toward the digital watch I'm wearing around my left wrist. Sorry, but I'm keeping someone waiting. I really can't spare any more time for hanging out with bored cops.
バカにしてるのか?
A bored police force is proof the city's at peace. Take it as a compliment. Inexplicably taking offense at my tone, the policeman clicks his tongue in irritation and tosses my license back.
じゃあ、風見さん。悪いけど、お背中の荷物の中身、確認させてもらっていいかな?
Now, interesting. I don't know how the law works in Japan, but in the US, you can say no. They have no right. They might say, oh, but it makes you look more suspicious, but that's not true. Like, if they don't have a reasonable, like, reason to search you, they don't have to. But again, in Japan, I don't know. I refuse.
どうして? 何か見られたくないものでも入ってるの?
I don't rely on blades. Policy of mine. Look, you're really telling me to unpack all of this on the spot? It'll take an hour at least. 30 minutes just to take a look at it all. 30 minutes to stuff it back in.
じゃあ立ち話もなんだし、警察署に行こうか。冷たいお茶ぐらい出すからさ。そこでゆっくりお話を聞かせてよ。
This is a voluntary arrest, I see. I just told you I don't have the time. I can't accept voluntary questioning. I know you can't just back down in this situation, but if I say I'll head over there myself later, could we wrap this up for now?
そんな都合のいいこと言って、そのまましらばっくれる気だろ。だったらせめて自宅の連絡先を教えてよ。
And here we go, right back at square one. As I've explained, I'm in the middle of a move. I vacated my old place, so I don't have an address.
じゃあご両親の住んでいる実家の住所だ。
I don't have any parents. No siblings or relatives either. They're all dead.
本当に? やっぱり何か隠してるんじゃないの?
This is going nowhere.
警察署まで来てくれれば無駄な問答をしなくて済むんだけどね。今パトカー呼ぶから少し待っててくれる?
But he can't keep you there. You're not under arrest. Like, that's what he's asking. Like, am I under arrest or being detained? And they say, if they say being detained, you have to, like, you say detained for what? Like, they have to have a reason. Obviously, they could choose to detain you for no reason, but it's, it would be legal reasons why you would ask that question. But I don't think he can just make you go to the station under the suspicious activity of walking down the road with a backpack. Then at least let me call the person I'm supposed to be meeting. At this rate, they'll be waiting all day.
そりゃ構わないけど。相手は誰? お友達?
I'm not going to tell you that.
言えないような相手なのか?
It's your mother. We had an appointment at the hotel tonight. Oh, there we go. We flipped the switch.
は?
I was keeping quiet out of the goodness of my heart. You dragged it out of me, so don't blame me when your parents get divorced and your happy home is shattered.
バカにしてるのか?
Yeah, maybe the heat is getting to us. Uh-oh. About 30 meters away from where we're talking, someone screams. A desperate cry follows within seconds. A woman sits collapsed on the street, stretched out her hand, and her high heels lie on the ground, knocked off her feet by the sudden fall. Just about halfway between us, there's a man in a flashy Hawaiian shirt running in this direction.
警察か?
Although the thief flinches for a moment at the sight of the policeman's uniform, after a quick check for any convenient side streets, he barrels onward.
どけこら!
Brandishing a stolen bag menacingly, his hand violently gestures out of my way.
止まれ止まりなさい
The cop is completely flustered. He's quite clearly unaccustomed to this sort of situation. Interesting, he's pretty content on taking us, convinced we were bad. Now we see an actual, like, crime in process, and he's flustered. While he's panicking, the distance between us and the thief shrinks with surprising swiftness. The man runs into the straight line toward a breakthrough to freedom. I happen to be standing directly in the middle of his path. As he prepares to strike with the bag, I ascertain the movement of his shoulder and arm from the first sign of motion, and hit his wrist sharply just as he's beginning to swing. Oh, we're just a cool kid vibe, huh? Are we gonna be one of those, like, too cool for school protagonists? The man's arm instantly stiffens and loses all momentum. His eyes pop wide open in shock. I immediately grab the collar of his Hawaiian shirt he's wearing and firmly draw him toward me. Before the man can offer resistance to my pull, I smoothly reverse and use his body weight to shove him against him. When pushed just as they've begun to brace themselves against being pulled, anyone except a genuine expert is going to be thrown off balance. That's actually a decent point. So, okay, obviously we're, like, well trained. Nice shirt. Where'd you buy it? Shock spreads across the man's face as his knees buckle against his will. I try to gain a chokehold using my grip on his neck of his shirt, but... The man promptly draws his head back and shifts his body to the side, preventing me from landing a hold on his neck. Although I expected as much from a glance at his build, it seems like he's somewhat experienced in judo. But, in this case, he would have been better off trying a decisive tackle. Rotating around the purse snatcher in an opposite direction of his slide, I yank his arm upward with both hands. In one movement, I've circled to his back. Oh, there he goes. Next, I pull back the opponent's wrist and elbow, pinning him to the ground. This is just a basic Aikido, by the way. Oh, look at that expression. His expression is literally, I'm just too cool for this. I'm sure you will. Hey now, you got your priorities all wrong. Before worrying about me, you should kill the guy who sold you that shirt. Perhaps unconsciously, the man's now empty right hand desperately slaps at the asphalt. While holding the thief pinned, I quickly shoot a glance behind me. Don't just stand there.
Oh!
The policeman jerks up straight in response to my angry shout, taking a pair of handcuffs from the pouch around his waist, and he runs over to restrain the criminal. The purse snatcher seems to have resigned himself to his fate and decides not to offer a pointless resistance. He accepts the red-handed arrest of the thief docilely, but sits quietly on the ground with his head hung in the policeman radios for backup. Apparently, they weren't too far off, as the siren approaches in no time. It's loud. Two policemen get out of the arriving cruiser, push the criminal to the back seat. As I'm quietly watching the scene in perfect passivity, the policeman from earlier runs over.
犯人確保の協力を感謝します。
I literally did hardly anything, but you're welcome. I'll pass on the letter of thanks, so how about letting me move on?
そうもいかんのですよ。宣告の件も含めて、できれば改めて署でお話を聞かせていただきたいのですが。
Dang it. Figured as much. Shaking my head in exasperation, I silently rebuke myself. Should have just left it alone. As the policeman pushes up my back, I glance at the wristwatch and informs me that I'm already 5 minutes late for my meeting. Ooh, that's kind of a fun, like, intro slide.
もうそろそろ話してくれないか?
What? Why are you questioning me? I've done literally nothing. 30 minutes have passed since I was brought to the interrogator's room. Familiarity of the place of where criminals break into the flop sweat of TV dramas. I'm sitting in a cheap foldable pipe chair, my arms folded in perfect silence. That's right. You never talk until you have a lawyer present. Because the lawyer, even if they are, like, provided for you freely, can help you avoid stupid traps that they might try and pin you in to try and force you to go. Essentially, they can try and pin you on enough circumstantial evidence to get you to make a partial confession to at least, you know, try and avoid, like, the full crime, or at least they'll convince you of that. And then they essentially get to nail a conviction, whether or not you're actually guilty.
そうやって黙ってちゃいつまで経っても帰れないぞ。誰かと待ち合わせをしているんだろ。さっさと話して終わらせた方がいいんじゃないか?
Instead of responding, I close my eyes. A silent statement indicating that I have absolutely no intention of opening my mouth. The detective clicked his tongue in exasperation at my attitude. I've got a pretty fair idea of what he'll do next.
やましいことがないなら話せるだろう。いつまでだんまりを決め込むつもりだ。
It's pretty easy, you just don't talk. Like, they're gonna try and stress you and pressure you, but like, don't talk. The sound of something being struck and an even louder attempt at intimidation. This is the point where the timid guy would be jumping in his seat with his eyes wide open, maybe staring at the floor and quivering. As for me, my eyes are still shut, my arms are still folded quietly, my mind is a total blank. He's just in meditation mode. I've been accustomed to adults shouting at me like this since I was a child. Following the threat stage, the next step will be for him to grip my hair, jolt me back and forth, but I'm dealing with an official authority group here. I should get off without direct violence this time. Interesting. Okay, so he's been interrogated before, but in an unofficial capacity. So that implies he's actually been tortured. At least rough-handled. Interesting. Who is this guy? Not to say that they won't pull out the old TV cliches and harass me by shining a desk lamp in my eyes or something of the sort. I can roughly translate the detective's sigh. Gosh darn kids these days. I gently opened my eyes in order to sneak a look at his disgusted face. The detective sitting in front of me seems to be challenging the Guinness World Record for the most dramatic asymmetry between left and right sides of a human mouth. Maybe he's just scowling. When I let out a snort of laughter in response to the unexpectedly pleasant sight, the detective scratches his head violently and glares at me.
あのな兄ちゃん、誰に入れ知恵されたか知らないが、警察で黙秘したって何も得はしないぞ。ん?
Now, it translated to buddy, but didn't he say Nichan, which is bro? Won't gain you anything, but you won't lose anything either, except your time. I turn my gaze to the clock on the wall of the sweat box. An hour has already passed since the scheduled time for my meeting.
なんとか言ったらどうなんだ?
The detective strikes the desk with excellent comic timing. The best part is the way he knocks his stash tray off the table every time he does this. Must be a pretty flimsy table.
もう、なんなんだよお前は。
I don't know, he seems like he knows his rights. His tone distinctly fed up, he scoops down to pick up the plastic tray off the floor. Kazama Yuuji, occupation student.
だから、そりゃもう何度も聞いたっつんだよ。調べたよ。山梨から来たんだろ。過去の犯罪歴はなし、歩道歴も交通違反もなし、何かを表彰されるようなこともなし。ここまで綺麗な懲罰なしってのは変だろ。
I mean, to be fair, I've had my first traffic violation, like, ever, like, a month ago. It was stupid. I didn't come to a full stop at a stop sign at midnight in my neighborhood when there was no active traffic. The cop just happened to be sitting with his lights off near the intersection and gave me a ticket. And it's the first ticket I've had, like, ever. It's not hard to not have no traffic violations if you just are a decent driver who's normally not taking shortcuts. It was a really stupid thing too, but it was just like I was on autopilot. I wasn't even thinking about it.
まるで誰かが細工したみてえに真っ白なんだよお前は。お前は一体何者なんだ。
Kazama Yuuji, occupation student.
なんだそりゃ。警察に捕まったらそれしか言うなって誰かに言われてんのか。お前どっかのテロリストか。
That's an interesting conclusion to jump to when someone has a perfectly clean record and has not done anything wrong nor said anything weird. Kazama Yuuji, occupation student. Kazami Yuuji.
おういい。黙れ。
First it's say something, now it's shut up. Talk about hard to please. A capricious detective scowls yet again and scratches his head. Flakes of dandruff drift grandly through the air. I don't know why that was hard to read. Flakes of dandruff drift grandly through the air. Based on his thoroughly wrinkled suit and heavy stubble, I'd say he hasn't been home in days.
なあ。頼むよ。こっちの事情も考えてくれよ。
Okay, if this is such a quiet town, why is the detective looking so ragged like he hasn't been home in days? Is he like literally fronting all the investigations for an entire city by himself? Or has he got some other issues going on? Another sigh. It's enough to make me want to heave one myself. Because we both take our work seriously, it seems like we're stuck going round in circles.
さっきのひったくり事件の取り調べも進まないし、厄介なの捕まえたよまったく。
Right. So you would prefer he got away? Just as we roughly complete this exchange of one-sided bitterness and mutual glaring, there's a well-timed knock at the door, the sound of it being unlocked.
はい。 あ、お疲れ様です。
A slightly plump elderly detective enters the room. Given the respectful tone of the detective I've been chatting with, he's probably a superior of some sort.
どうかしましたか？え、はい。
After a quick glance in my direction, the elderly detective whispers something into the younger man's ear. Before long, the younger detective turns toward me with a decidedly nonplussed expression.
釈放だと、お疲れさん。
Why now, all of a sudden?
それはこっちから聞いてくれ。それじゃあな。
With those parting words, the young detective leaves the room. The elderly detective watches him go and then faces me with a greasy smile.
いやー、すみませんでしたね、風見さん。こちらに連絡が行っていなかったようで、先ほどようやっとあなたの身元保証人の方と連絡が取れた次第でして。
Interesting guarantor rather than guardian. I mean, it sounds like we're probably old enough to not need a guardian per se, but a guarantor is usually a legal term that's about like co-signing on a like contract, like especially one involving a loan or a large like payment plan of some kind. A guarantor stands in place of collateral, saying that like if the main party defaults, then they can go after the recovery of funds from the guarantor. Like I said, the other option is collateral. So for instance, when we had to put a new roof on our house, we put our car up as collateral because we own it instead of like, so it's not like we're making payments on it, but now we technically are making payments on it so that we can continue to own it. But that's because we needed to have like a $10,000 roof installed. Not very many people have that to just throw out there. The detective stares at me with eyes like a dead fish. Nice.
市ヶ谷の関係者なら最初からそう言っていただかないと。
If you'd known I was from Ichigaya from the start, you wouldn't have thrown me in jail, stripped me naked, and sprayed me down with a hose.
まさかご冗談を。うちは天下の桜だもんですよ。
Okay, so we're from some kind of organization, corporation, maybe government adjacent or something? Because he's saying that they're also part of Sakura Daimon, whatever that is. Just to let you know, I'm nothing but a student. My work at Ichigaya is only part-time cleaning job. Oh, it's where we're going. 掃除ですか。なるほどね。うまいことおっしゃいますな。さすがはインテリさんの集まりだ。In response to my words, the detective twists his mouth into something vaguely resembling a smile. いやー、ですからね。そちらさんもそんなご事情ならば、ご存知かと思いますが、上があれですから、いろいろとややこしくてね。Sarcasm drifting from every pore of his body, the detective treats me with transparently insincere courtesy. He's just pretty much being like, I'm in trouble now because you didn't say anything. He's perfectly civil on the superficial level, but the atmosphere here is growing increasingly unpleasant. The younger detective from before, hard-ass that he was, seems infinitely preferable. Did you inquire to Ichigaya about me? いいえね、あなたのお名前をデータベースで検索させたんですがね、検索している最中に電話が鳴りまして、受話器を上げてみたら防衛省の特別の機関からのお電話でして。Ironically, now we're more suspicious than ever, but in a way that literally means they have to keep their hands off us. うちの犬がそちらで保護されていないかと聞きましてね。いや、驚きましたよ、実際。うちは保健所じゃありませんからね。Since you found my owner and confirmed that my leash is properly attached, I should be able to leave now, right? どうぞご自由に。ああ、そうそう。あなたが今度転入なさる学園の学園長からもこちらに連絡がありましたよ。That's so. なかなかいらっしゃらないからと近隣の署に片っ端から連絡を入れたそうですよ。Interesting that her first thought was to check with police stations. おかげでうちの署長も会議の途中で電話に引っ張られたようでして、散々闇を言われたと言っておりました。Where's my backpack? お預かりした荷物は玄関に出してありますので、そちらで。なんでしたらうちの車でお送りしましょうか。You're not getting funds from public taxes in order to chauffeur bums like me around, are you? I'll walk. Maybe that was to try and get more information? After I urged out the door by the old man, the young detective appears at the rear carrying a backpack they'd taken from me earlier.
とんでもない重さだな、これは。一体何が入ってるんだ？
Bit of a tough question. I guess you could say my life.
ギャグだとしたら出来は悪いぞ。
That wasn't really what I was going for.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいい。ちょっと。
Dropping the backpack next to me, the detective lets out a slight sigh. Thanks for lugging it out here. Pretty heavy, isn't it?
仕事で柔道やってるような人間に言う言葉じゃないな。田舎の警察とはいえ、その辺は仕込まれてる。
Okay, so we're in a small town type thing. Okay. Maybe that makes sense then if there's only two. There might only be two detectives for this entire area. True. Guess that's natural for a policeman. Sorry. The detective smiles wryly.
なあ、お前、埋め立て地の学生なんだってな。
Landfill Academy. I'm wearing the school uniform. You can see it at a glance.
制服が着られているって感じだがな。
He claps my shoulder as we pass each other.
気をつけてな。いろんな意味で。
With those parting words, he heads back into the police station. What on earth are we getting into? The detective who was really upset at us a bit ago is telling us, like, good luck! Guess I didn't make a convincing student yet. I'm wearing deep blue slacks, a short-sleeved dress shirt, and as well as a dark red and yellow striped necktie. Excluding my somewhat longish hair, I should be the very image of a student. Guess it's a little difficult, turning into something like that all of a sudden. But it's probably precisely because this is difficult that I decided to give it a try. For a while, I myself didn't understand why I'd asked for this, but now I think I have a faint grasp of the reason. I wanted to become something that I couldn't understand, something that I wasn't. At the moment, I've done nothing but smooth down my edges a bit. Perhaps later on, I'll become a student on the inside as well. Okay, so we're clearly something strange, like a special ops, maybe like secret agent type of, like bred from an orphanage, like Agent 42 kind of person. But now we're like kind of like taking some kind of job to try and have a normal life. The sun that had been climbing upward earlier has now finally reached its zenith. The temperature keeps on rising and sweat oozes from my skin. I was pretty sure she'd pick me up, but... Sensing a presence, I lower my gaze from the sun. My eyes, well accustomed to high contrast lighting, project a human form and silhouette only the briefest of moments before the details fade in.
お勤めご苦労様。
Oh, you're cute. Hello. A woman raising an awkward salute, grinning broadly, stands before my eyes. Spare me. I don't want to see you pose like that outside the workplace. In first place, what's with the dopey salute? The girls in bikinis on the Martin SDF recruitment posters have more impressive form.
もういいじゃないの。早速のお仕事をねぎらってるのに。
Uh-huh. I don't recall contributing enough to society today to deserve any appreciation.
はいはい。来た早々とんでもない目にあったのはわかるけど、八つ当たりはしないでちょうだい。そんなことより。
Okay, so she's part of the organization or something. She opens the door of a car stopped next to her.
乗って。目的を遂行する方が最優先。でしょ？
True. Yeah, true enough. Interesting. From Mishima Cape Police Station to National Highway 133 southbound, we proceed to the Prefectural Highway and advance further out toward the Cape. A range of slow rotating wind turbines come into view, indicating the proximity to the sea. I love wind turbines. I grew up in a place where they installed them fairly early in like the rise of like wind farms. Like I lived in an area that just got very consistent winds, so it was a really ideal place to try it out. And to this day, there are people who protest about how ugly they are, and I don't understand that. I think they look cool. Like, they're quiet, they're massive, and they just look pretty. The only thing that might be a bit distracting is the fact that they have, like, you know, warning lights for potential low-flying aircraft on them at night. But they're pretty dull, so it doesn't really affect the skyline more than you would like just the normal city lights. So I don't know what people complain about, but I think it's just old people who, you know, they don't want things to change.
びっくりしたのよ。時間になっても現れないし、これは何かあったんだって連絡したら、案の定警察の厄介になってるし。
First of all, harsh. Second of all, I wasn't trying to be a thorn in their side. They became one in mine.
この暑さだから熱射病で倒れてるのかと思っちゃった。
I doubt you really thought I was sick.
どうしてそんなことが言えるの？
You were trying the police stations first, not the hospitals.
そりゃ、 あなたのことだからぶっ倒れる前に何とかするとは思ったけど、一応体のこと気遣ってるんだから素直に聞けばいいのに。
Accuracy in weather forecasts and interpersonal communications make society run smoother.
可愛くない。
Pouting again, she continues her harangues? Harangues? I don't know what that word is. I really probably should, but I bet you I know what it sounds like, but I've never seen it spelled before.
第一、ここにだって本数は少ないけど電車は通ってるんだから、それで来ればよかったのに歩いてきちゃうんだもの。それも聞いてびっくりしたのよ。ヒマラヤにでも登るような大荷物背負ってるって。
Sorry, I hate trains.
だからって歩いてくるなんて常識外れよ。どうしたの？黙っちゃって。
Could you not mention this to the other students? I don't want them getting funny ideas about me from the get-go.
変なのが来たって警戒されるかもね。確かに。
I don't know. I'm guessing even meeting us is gonna set that trigger off, though. We're pretty weird. I got enough of that from the police to last with me a while.
やっぱり職質受けてたのね。はい、着いたわ。ここよ。
Here we go. The car proceeds about 500 meters along an area of reclaimed coastline land before she brought it to a stop. So that's what he meant by landfill, I see. As I'm recalling the words of the detective from before, the woman continues our conversation with a sudden cheerful tone.
どう？立派でしょ。この近隣の学校の中では一番新しいのよ。
Oh, fetch me! Look at those walls! Very nice, barely even looks like a school. Yeah, it looks like a prison. I mean, the fence looks fairly nice, and it being pretty old, but why are the rest of the walls so high? That doesn't make any sense. Although I'd heard it was a new school, its external appearance genuinely isn't what I expected. A 3-story building, the pure white color of the outer walls, the only typical school-like element, with every other aspect more closely resembling a city office building. The gates to the right and left are less evocative of school gates as their functional fence is at some facility. The mounted signboard, likewise, is an old utilitarian thing printed on simple typeface rather than hand-drawn work of calligraphy.
これからここがあなたの母校になるのよ。感慨深くない？
You know, schools kind of have to earn that. I've only just arrived at this place. If I said I was deeply moved by the sight, I'd be lying.
恥もそっけもない。人間想像力が大事なのよ。
With an exaggerated sigh, she opens her hands wide in the overblown gesture of a third-rate actor.
新設校だからあまり学校のイメージがないかもしれないけど、学生だってちゃんと普通のいい子たちがいるのよ。だから。
Things are going great so far.
Hey, where are you going?
That was definitely in English. Interesting. Her rigmarole is abruptly interrupted by high-pitched shrieks of 2 girls. Is that just like a bug? Oh, okay. So she's tied a string around a cicada. Interesting. I've heard kids doing that before. It would have been too cruel for me to do, but I can see why that could freak people out. It's kind of funny. What the heck was that? She went from like cute high school kid to like chain smoker. Perfectly normal. Absolutely. Normal. Could you define that term? There were a class where we chased each other around brandishing insects?
違うのよ。あの子たちは
I mean, they're
わかるでしょ
just girls. But for somebody who's never been in school, it would look weird. I don't think I do, but it's nice to see that they're a lively school.
でしょとりあえず行きましょうか。
Okay. Having apparently forgotten what she was planning to do with her outspread hands, she totters through the school gate. Her office is positioned quite near the school building's front entrance. The furniture is nicely arranged based around the old-fashioned desk and chair. In contrast to the incongruity of the building's exterior appearance, this room is a textbook example of old-fashioned principal's office.
そこ座って。
I sit on the genuine leather sofa in one of the room's more prominent furnishings. After waiting for me to settle myself, she lowers herself into a seat across from me.
学園長の立花千鶴です。ようこそ美浜学園へ。
I mean,
はじめまして。
It's nice to meet you too, but she's introducing herself. But she also was talking like she knew us and we knew her.
それとも、お久しぶりねの方がいいかしら
On a practical level, nice to meet you might be the better option.
そっか。そうね、確かに。
With a slight amused smile, Principal Tachibana takes out a pamphlet.
まあ、あなたのことだからもう概要は知ってるとは思うけど、一応説明はしておくわ。
Right. She flips past a couple pages in the brochure. I hadn't noticed, but her fingernails are lightly polished.
ここは学校法人榊学園の運営する私学の学園で、全国から選ばれた学生たちを集めて日々勉学に励んでいるの。
Okay, so this is a corporate specialized private school. Okay, because like it's a educational corporation, but they're selected across Japan, which means it's talent scouted. So this is supposed to be a high achieving class.
榊学園の母体は関東一円に私鉄網を持つ東浜急行電鉄グループ。その資金力を持って最高の設備と教職員を揃えているわ。まず
The principal's talk shifts to more detailed matters. The East Beach Express is an enormous corporate group with its hands in real estate, large-scale retail, but its core business is the management of the rail line connecting Tokyo to Hanada Airport. The EBE's management is shouldered by the Sakurai family, and it seems possible that this Sakaki Academy Corporation is also administered by them directly. That's only a guess based on circumstantial evidence. I think I said Sakurai before for the family. Sakaki. I'm not sure why I said Sakurai. I'm sorry. Given the lack of public information into secretive corporation activities or even existence of this academy, I haven't gained anything that could be called definitive proof from my investigation so far.
あ
Google
なたは
failed
2
them.
年生として学園に入ってもらいます。早速明日のホームルームで転校のことをお知らせするから、それ以降は自由に振る舞って構わないわ。
Interesting. So even though it's really playing out more like a college here. Her fingers come to a stop, bringing her hands gently together, the principal raising her gaze from the pamphlet to meeting my eyes.
どう？あなたのお望み通り、普通の学園生活を送るには最適の環境だと思うけど。
I have a few questions.
どうぞ。
First, today's a weekday, but there is barely anyone in the school grounds. What's going on?
少数精鋭なのよ。学生数はあなたを入れて6人だけなの。
6? That's not even like a class size. That's like school size. What? Only 6?
そうよ。
The elite few.
ええ、
That included our friends with the cicada just now.
もちろん。
Question 2. Where am I living from today on?
全寮制なの。後で学生寮の場所を案内します。そこからここに通ってちょうだい。
Okay. A dormitory, is it?
寮といっても十分な広さのある個室だから安心よ。
In that case, no problem.
以上かしら。
Before we finish, one last thing.
はい、どうぞ。
For this last question only, I stare directly into her eyes. I need to confirm the principal's intention to bring me here. After all said and done, is this a normal school? I can tell you right now, it's not. Principal closes her mouth. After a moment of silence, she opens it again.
ええ、
No. A gentle smile. I'm convinced that she isn't lying to me for further some hidden self-interest.
あなたがあの時に言った希望、ちゃんと覚えているわよ。
The principal slowly stands up and walks to the window side. The athletic grounds are visible from the window. Good grief, it's all just dirt. Ugh, that would be horrible, especially in the summer. Although resembling those of normal schools, the grounds are skittered by an impossibly high wall.
普通の学園に入って普通の学生生活が送りたい。
The mere handful of students, the bizarrely extravagant facilities, the on-campus dormitory, the high wall surrounding it all. Yeah, that's not ringing bright. That cleverly indicated abnormality.
でもね、あなたも分かってると思うけど、あなた自身の境遇を考えると、ここしか条件に合うところがなかったのよ。
Yeah, so she was kind of lying, but not entirely. She was saying, like, look, this is the best you're gonna get with who you are. And like I said, if we're like some kind of Hitman 42 situation where we're like super secret agent man who's never had a normal day in his life, then it kind of makes sense that they couldn't just send us to any school. I guess you're right.
私はあくまでも、ここは普通の学園だとあなたに言います。
Yep, normal school. 6 students in total for an entire large campus surrounded by large high walls of stone. Perfectly normal. The principal turns to face me.
だからあなたも、ここで普通に過ごしてくれればいいわ。何かしてほしいとか、私から言うことはありません。
So she might be involved in what we've been doing up till now, but she regrets it. Like, she might be, so maybe she has, like, seeing this probably kid growing up, living the life of an adult, and never having a chance to just be a kid, or even, like, a teenager or a young adult, just never having that chance. And so she's like, look, I'm gonna make it so that you have the most normal life you can have. Because of a sense of, like, guilt, maybe? Pity? Or just compassion? Understood.
それじゃ、寮の方へ案内するわ。
Yeah. With a nod, I rise to my feet. On the grounds outside, a gust of salty sea air kicks up a cloud of sand. Ugh. Again.
ここが学生寮よ。管理室も含めると、部屋数は全部で11。
Okay, so the school seems pretty big, but this building seems rather small. So unless they have multiple, like, housing, maybe the school is meant for only 6. But that doesn't seem right. It feels huge.
各部屋ごとにお風呂とトイレとキッチンが備え付けられてるから、生活の心配はないわ。家具も一通り揃ってるしね。
That's a pretty nice dorms.
何、キョロキョロしてるの？
Cicada pair from earlier don't seem to be around.
ああ、スオさんとイリスさんのことね。二人ともまだ学園に残っているのかもね。小峰さんもいないようだし。
The Komine guy is the student here too?
その子に寮の案内を頼んでいたんだけど、姿が見えないから。
So you don't have a minute grasp on the movements of the students, I see.
私はほら、単なる学園長だから。
Merely, is it?
ちょっと待ってね。部屋にいるのかもしれないから。
The principal walks toward the interior of the building. Left there by myself, I stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Soon I've left unconsciously fallen into the habit of counting the number of visible sprinklers, then roughly estimating the scale of the building. Calculating the time needed to gain control of the front entrance and ascertain the location of the emergency exits. Okay, yeah, like I said, he's like an Agent 42 kind of guy. Not that many support pillars are there. Guess that's why the ceiling's a bit low. Why is it making the grabby sound? Having grown absorbed in my analyzing the building, I don't even notice the tug at my sleeve.
私の声聞こえてますか？
Why is there a maid here? Until the final excuse me of many finally catches my ear. Huh?
あなたは今日到着予定の転入生さんですか？
I drop my gaze to the direction of the voice and find a girl in housemaid clothes looking up at me. Not that she's of particularly diminutive height, except in comparison to a tall male like me.
それとも不審者さんでしょうか？
No one's going to admit that they're an intruder if you ask them point blank.
そういえばそうですね。目から鱗です。
Alright, why do you talk like you're in some kind of, like, Greek drama? The maid nods several times, slowly closing her eyes, and begins to repeat my words.
不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。
Okay.
大丈夫。それでは質問の仕方を変えて、あなたは不審者さんではない人でしょうか？
That's the same question, just asking for a different answer. Flexible thinking isn't your strong suit, clearly.
はい。
No, never mind. So what does a maid want with me?
ですから、私はあなたが怪しい人かどうかを確認しています。
Well, by all definitions, I am, but it's not because you should be worried about me. This would be the second time today I've heard that pickup line.
それはおめでとうございます。それで、あなたは不審者さんではない人なんでしょうか？
You're just cool as a cucumber about this whole thing. You're a lot tougher than you look, maid.
ごみねさん、ちょうどよかった。こちらが今度転入することになった風見くんよ。
At this point, having noticed our voices, the principal calls out to the girl. It seems this maid was Komine after all.
やっぱりあなたが転入生さんだったんですね。
And not Kumine, it's Kumina. Komine. Is it Komine? Komina. Ne. Komine. I'm Kazama Yuuji. Good to meet you.
はい、こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
I don't think you introduced yourself.
すみません。下の名前はサチです。よろしくお願いします。
Wait. And this time it's nothing but the first name. I had this thought earlier with the other two, but you've certainly gathered some unique elites here.
学生の個性を伸ばすのが学園の役目だから。
Okay. Which would mean she's a student too.
小峰さんはこの学園の1年生よ。あなたには小峰さんが教壇に立つような年に見えた？
Komine. Yeah, it is Komine. That's not really my point of confusion here. Our uniform creates a certain preconceptions. For example, if I see a girl wearing bunny ears in a bar, I don't ask what she's done with her Bible.
小峰さんは普段からメイド服でいることが多いから。
Okay. That's not an explanation.
確かにそうね。それじゃあ小峰さん、説明してあげて。わかりました。私はクラス委員を任されている関係で、よく先生方のお手伝いや雑用をお願いされることが多いのですが、
Okay.
なんだかメイドさんみたいだねという話から、ちょっとメイド服着てみなよと促され。
So the teachers have a kink? Is that what you're trying to say?
実際着てみたらやっぱり似合うから、なるべく普段から着た方がいいよと提案されたので、なるべく普段からメイド服を着るように心がけています。
Alright, Sachi, I'm gonna be honest here. You seem like you're hyper impressionable. Like, people say something, she takes it to heart, regardless of what that information is. That's a dangerous way to live your life. I see. You're a devoted one. That fallen bunny girl sister could learn a thing or two from you. Fallen bunny girl sister. What is that a reference to?
はい、ありがとうございます。
I wasn't really intending that to be a compliment, but there's no point in telling her that.
じゃあ、ここからは彼女に案内してもらって。
No objections.
それじゃあ小峰さん、あとはお願いね。わかりました。それではまず1階から案内していきますね。
Yeah, if you would. The maid slowly begins to walk, but quickly comes to a stop in front of the management room. Stopped dead, she's staring at me with an expression that clearly indicates she has something to say. Okay, spit it out. What's wrong? You need something?
あなたのことを何とお呼びしたらいいのか聞き忘れていました。
Come to think of it, you're right.
すみません。
Well, you can call me whatever you want.
それでしたら、ゆうくんと呼ばせていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
Well, aren't you forward? You've gotten pretty familiar all of a sudden.
では、風見さんというのはいかがでしょう。
Sure. Anyway, I'll call you Sachi.
サチ。
My bad. Would Sachimon be better?
いえ、幸で構いませんよ。
Her expression didn't change in the slightest, but her eyes at the moment she spoke those words had a strange forcefulness. That's so. Alright, Sachi. Best regards and all that.
はい。
Judging from her smile, it seems she doesn't dislike being called Sachi.
それでは早速なのですが、寮に入って最初に見えるこの部屋が風見さんのお部屋になります。
Nameplate seems to say it's the management room though.
学園長さんのお話では、風見さんには寮長を兼ねてこの部屋に住んでほしいとのことでしたけど。
Yeah, I would say normally that would be really weird for the new student to be put in management, but we have a history with her, so she probably knows that we're, if anything, dependable. In other words, she wants me to play the prison guard. Well, at the very least, 3 of the 6 students living in this dorm are females. It would probably be prudent to have a room as far as possible from theirs to avoid potential trouble. Mind if I take a look inside?
はい。これが部屋の鍵です。どうぞ。
Alright, let's take a look. And you know what? Not bad. Pretty sparse, but not bad. When I open the door with the key she hands me, I promptly place a set of a prominently placed set of kitchen and household goods catches my eye. They seem to be in good shape, and I can confirm with a glance that the room itself will be more than adequate living environment given my needs.
この寮のすべての部屋には火災報知器が1つと2つのスプリンクラーが設置されています。
Good. Got it. She seems to have guessed my thoughts from the direction of my gaze.
そこは1畳半ほどのウォークインクローゼットになっていると聞いています。
She knows the very specifics. As a little test, I focus my eyes on a different point of interest, and she provides an explanation the same way. Although she's a little off in some departments, she seems to be pretty sharp in other respects. I see. Looks like there won't be any problems. As I speak, I twist the faucet over the sink. Was someone using this room before I came?
いいえ、少なくとも4ヶ月は誰も使っていなかったはずですが。
Oddly, I might know what he's talking about here. If a room's been left unoccupied and the pipes have not been used, normally when you turn it on for the first time in a while, you get gurgling air. This is something you just, like, you never think about it, but it's so true. The water's pretty clear, considering.
まあ、建物自体新しいですし、風見さんがいらっしゃる前は、この部屋を倉庫代わりに使用することもあったので、その時に誰かが水道を使っていたのかもしれません。私も時々お掃除の時にバケツの水を汲むために使っていましたから。
Does that mean there's lots of people with a key? I see. I twist the faucet to stop the water, drop the luggage where I've been carrying on the spot, and promptly leave the room.
それから玄関を入って正面のスペースはみんなの共有の場所になっています。
A standard student dorm community space, is it?
はい。マキちゃんやアマネさんなんかはよくここで過ごしていますよ。
That's so. Although I haven't heard those names before, they must be other students.
それから風見さんの部屋の隣はボイラー室。その正面が階段で、その奥には4つの部屋があって、階段の隣の3号室が私の部屋になります。
I'd heard there are 11 rooms in total. Any reason why you picked one on the first floor?
それは私の名前がサチなので、さっちゃんなら3号室でしょと。
Okay, yeah. You seem like you kind of just take what people say and run with it. I get the idea.
ここが2階です。2階は基本的に部屋のみの構造となっていて、私以外の学生さんは全員この階に住んでいます。
Which would mean 2 of these are vacant.
はい、7号室と9号室は現在空き部屋になっています。3階はこの大浴場をはじめとした戦闘的な構造になっています。
That is a really nice bathroom. Look at that thing. That tub's huge. Probably it's supposed to be like semi-public, but still. Panoramic seaside view. Large windows. Fascinating. That's awesome.
階段の反対側にはコインランドリーや物干しスペースもあるので、必要な時に利用してください。
Alright. But since there's been girls up until now, we're probably gonna have to start establishing shower and tub and bathroom protocols.
もし洗濯自体が苦手なようでしたら、私に言っていただければ代行しますので。
I don't get the feeling that like everyone walks all over you because you allow it. Wouldn't taking care of someone else's chores be a nuisance?
クラス委員ですから。
Alright, I'll keep that offer in mind.
はい。
There's no reason to refuse outright when the offer is delivered with such an earnest smile. By the way, can we use this grand bathroom as we please?
はい。清掃は専門の業者さんが定期的にやってくれているので、清掃中以外は24時間利用可能です。ただ、男湯と女湯に分かれているわけではないので、風見さんが入浴する際は入り口にこの札をかけるようにしてください。
You better also make sure all the girls understand that they need to do that too, or else we're gonna have a very classic MC meets the girls type of meeting. As she speaks, she hands me a card that reads "In use, male bathing." Sure, I think I might take advantage of it pretty often. The view up here is pretty nice.
そうですね。周りには校舎の他に高い建物もないですし、ガラスの透過率も 75% ですから、海面に沈む夕日を眺めることもできますよ。
An ocean view, huh? Not bad.
ご希望ならすぐに入ることもできますけど。
As she speaks, I notice Sachi's already holding a towel and change of clothes in her head. Where'd you get that? You're pretty well prepared.
この大浴場を見た大体の人はすぐに入ってみたくなるみたいなので。
I see. The fruit of your experience, is it? What's wrong?
風見さんのための着替えではなく、私の着替えを持ってきてしまいました。
Well, I mean, cool. As if to demonstrate, female underwear slips from among the clothes into Sachi's hand. Is this a declaration you want to bathe together?
いえ、そのつもりはありませんでした。すみません。
I really don't think there's anything to apologize for.
ありがとうございます。では、これで寮の案内は終わりになりますが、何か質問はありますか？
Let's see. Can I ask about something other than the dorm?
私に答えられることでしたら。
In that case, let's hear your 3 sizes, Sachi. Why? Is this a test, or is he just a pervert?
はい、上から82、56、83です。
Dang. Not only is it very specific, like she's recently measured, but they're pretty solid proportions too. At the moment, there's a specific man you're going out with?
いません。
Your experience with men to date?
ありません。
I know I'm the one who asked you those questions, but answering them so politely, was that also because you're the class representative?
クラス委員はみんなの役に立ってこそのクラス委員ですから。
Again, it's like she took a single phrase that someone said and just made it her entire motto of existence when it came to that specific aspect of information. I remember when we said that an intruder's not going to tell you they're an intruder with a straight up. It's like she took that and she's like, all right, that's now going to be my fact for life. It's like she's an imprint, like a tabula rasa, a blank slate that she just takes in information, and until it's disputed otherwise, it becomes just concrete fact for life. So it makes a casual reference, doesn't matter, it's now the way the life is. What an admirable devotion to customer service.
ありがとうございます。他に質問はありますか？
Nothing comes to mind?
わかりました。もし他に聞きたいことができたら、部屋にある内線電話で3番を押してください。私の部屋につながるので。
Interesting. My first thought was why does she have a dial service like that? But then I realized it's 3. Her room number is likely 3, so I'm guessing we can do that with any of the rooms. Got it.
それでは私はこれで失礼しますね。
With that note of farewell, Sachi bows like a genuine housemaid and starts to turn away. Sachi.
はい。
Thanks for the tour. I appreciate it.
はい。
The class representatives these days seem to be surprisingly tough-willed breed. That was interesting. After Sachi's tour ended, I took another look around the interior of the building on my own. By the time I returned to my room, the sun had already set low in the sky and the light growing dim. Alright. It might not be the most, exciting place, but I think we're gonna go ahead and end here. It was a pretty solid intro. We got a lot of introductions going around. We're at the campus now. We kind of get the size of the setting. We met Sachi. We got a little bit of an impression of some of the other girls. It's gonna be really interesting. This school's weird. So yeah, let's see. First impressions. The art's simultaneously like an older classical style, but also looks really well polished. So a lot of detail, especially look with the light rays, just even in the background here in the room. It just shows a lot of like detail went into the scenes. So it's a work of love. I have no idea how many other publications like the original makers had before they made this, but it shows that they've got a lot of attention to detail. They've had some fun, interesting animation styles. It's actually funny because like even the art style is very reminiscent of what I've seen in like Muv-Luv. So I wonder if they came out around the same time period. So it'd be interesting to learn some more just general information. If anyone happens to know, that's fine. Cause like I could look it up on the wiki, but again, like that'd be really easy for me to accidentally get spoiled on stuff. So we're gonna just put the brakes on that, and I'll like if you feel like there's information you can share with me without spoiling anything, I would love to hear it. But overall, interesting. Certainly it's caught by certainly intriguing, if nothing else. I'll be interested to see how this all plays out, because again, like there's definitely something weird about us and everyone else we've met so far. But I'm gonna say we're essentially Agent 42 until proven otherwise, because it really feels like we've got something like that going on. It also kind of reminds me, ironically, of one of my favorite comedy anime, which is Full Metal Jacket, I think it's called. God, it's been a while since I've watched it. Fumofu specifically, which is like the second season, which is the whole idea of like a kid who grew up like on the battlefield, working in armies like across like war zones, like especially in the Gulf War. And then he goes to a high school to protect somebody and is supposed to also kind of integrate and have a normal student life. I'm getting some similar vibes, but maybe not that ridiculous. But the vibes are there, so we'll see if I'm reading the situation correctly. It just seems there were too many references to being trained, being interrogated, to having like a steely determination and being very skillful with handling himself in physical confrontations. And he identified like how long he didn't identify the safety of the building. He identified how long it would take to secure the building, which means either you're protecting the building from an outside attack or staging an attack yourself. So again, he's thinking in a very aggressive patterns. He wants a normal life, but he thinks like a soldier. So I'm guessing that there's something to that, but that's pretty much just all I'm picking up on so far. Again, no spoilers. If you want to chat about the game, make predictions about what I'm going to do, or just kind of post memes, and you don't want to spoil me or anything, go to the Discord group. It's a great place to hang out. You can post memes there. You can also make recommendations for future visual novels or other games you want me to play on the channel. It's a place where I can see. You can also just say hi to me. I usually respond if you are talking about something on topic or even off topic, as long as it's the right place. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for the patrons who've been hanging out and being a part of this journey with me, and thanks for making the choice. I know a lot of you were like doing essentially cartwheels in the Discord when I announced this was finally on the table, so I hope this was a good first episode for you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. But, you know, that's always next week. Every Friday from here on for a while we're going to be doing this. I'm guessing if it's a decently long visual novel, we'll be here till through the end of the year, so let's see how that all plays out. If you want to see other content I've covered, I've got a great playlist backlogged. I've covered some main titles like Muv-Luv and Steins Gate. I've also done some fantastic gems that are a lot more smaller developer focused, like Seabed, which is one of my top recommended visual novels of all time. I've done Fata Morgana and its extra content. I'm planning on doing Higurashi no Mineko soon. It's just as soon as we finish the Muv-Luv train, which keeps getting new translations, so that's been going on longer than I ever expected it would, but we got those in the works. I'm also doing some not visual novel playthroughs. Currently, Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky on Thursdays and Yakuza 0 on Tuesdays. The channel gets to choose, like the patrons and members get to choose my Tuesday slot, so we'll be cycling through there, and I'm going to have other features and games that are going to be coming up on Thursdays as well. And you never know. I'm always interested in hearing what you all say, so I look forward to reading your comments on this one. So, to a new adventure. Let's get started. But until the next video watching me, I'll be seeing you next. I'll see you there.